Hey guys, it's Jeff. And so by now you've probably heard about the Oxford shooting that occurred in Michigan this week, tragic events that occurred in another high school in the United States. And in this video, I want to talk about the recently announced charging of the parents of the shooter coming up. Hey guys, I'm back. So in the video today, I'm going to be talking about the events that occurred in Oxford, Michigan. This is the high school shooting that occurred this week where 4 people were killed, 7 others were injured. And today the prosecutor in that state or that jurisdiction announced that she was charging the parents with involuntary manslaughter. Now, I'm going to roll in some of the video from that press conference that occurred today. And I want to talk about a few points. But before I do that, guys, if you haven't hit subscribe yet, please consider a subscription. Likes are always appreciated. And if you think I got any of this wrong, I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section below. So here's the press conference, or the important parts of the press conference. It's not that long. It's only a couple minutes long. And then I'll come back and I want to talk to you about it.
While the shooter was the one who entered the high school and pulled the trigger, there are other individuals who contributed to the events on November 30th, and it's my intention to hold them accountable as well. It's imperative we prevent this from happening again. No other parent or community should have to live through this nightmare. I have shared previously, and I will reiterate today, that gun ownership is a right, and with that right comes great responsibility. Based on the information and evidence I have received, today I am announcing charges against the shooter's parents, Jennifer and James Crumbley. The charges are as follows. James Crumbley is charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. Jennifer Crumbley is also charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. I will now publish the details that led to that decision and have already previously been made public, which allows me to comment on them in a swear-to that has just taken place in the district court by Officer Tim Willis, Detective Tim Willis. The investigation into the school shooting incident at Oxford High School, which occurred on November 30th, 2021, has revealed that James Crumbley purchased a Sig Sauer 9mm model SP 2022 from Acme Shooting Goods in Oxford, Michigan on November 26, 2021. A store employee confirms that Ethan Crumbley was present with James at the time of the purchase. Per statute, James Crumbley completed ATF Form 5309A. On or about November 26, 21, Ethan Crumbley's social media posts reveal photos of the semi-automatic handgun, along with the caption, "Just got my new beauty today," including an emoji with hearts, "Sig Sauer 9mm. Any questions I will answer," end quote. Subsequent to the purchase of that weapon, one of Jennifer Crumbley's social media posts on about 11/27/21 read, quote, "Mom and Sunday testing out his new Christmas present," end quote. On November 21st, 21, a teacher at the Oxford High School observed Ethan Crumbley searching ammunition on his cell phone during class and reported the same to school officials. Jennifer Crumbley was contacted via voicemail by school personnel regarding that son's inappropriate internet search. School personnel indicate they followed that voicemail up with an email but received no response from either parent. Thereafter, Jennifer Crumbley exchanged text messages about the incident with her son on that day, stating, quote, "LOL, I'm not mad at you. You have to learn not to get caught," end quote. On November 30th, 21, the morning of the shooting, the next day, Ethan Crumbley's teacher came upon a note on Ethan's desk, which alarmed her to the point that she took a picture of it on her cell phone. The note contained the following: a drawing of a semi-automatic handgun pointing at the words, quote, "The thoughts won't stop, help me," end quote. In another section of the note was a drawing of a bullet with the following words above that bullet, quote, "Blood everywhere," end quote. Between the drawing of the gun and the bullet is a drawing of a person who appears to have been shot twice and bleeding. Below that figure is a drawing of a laughing emoji. Further down the drawing are the words, quote, "My life is useless," end quote. And to the right of that are the words, quote, "The world is dead," end quote. As a result, James and Jennifer Crumbly were immediately summoned to the school. A school counselor came to the classroom and removed the shooter and brought him to the office with his backpack. Counselor obtained the drawing, but the shooter had already altered it. The drawings of the gun and the bloody figure were scratched out along with the words, "Help me," and "My life is useless." "The world is dead," and "blood everywhere." Those were all altered by him. At the meeting, James and Jennifer Crumbly were shown the drawing and were advised that they were required to get their son into counseling within 48 hours. Both James and Jennifer Crumbly failed to ask their son if he had his gun with him or where his gun was located, and failed to inspect his backpack for the presence of the gun, which he had with him. James and Jennifer Crumbly resisted the idea of then leaving the school at that time, of their son leaving the school at that time. Instead, James and Jennifer Crumbly left the high school without their son. He was returned to the classroom. When the news of the active shooter at Oxford High School had been made public, Jennifer Crumbly texted to her son at 1:22 p.m., quote, "Ethan, don't do it," end quote. At 1:37 p.m., James Crumbly called 911, reporting that a gun was missing from his house and he believed his son may be the shooter. Further investigation revealed that the 6-hour 9mm handgun purchased by James Crumbly was stored unlocked in a drawer in James and Jennifer's bedroom. The gun recovered from the shooter at the school after the shooting was the same gun that was purchased by his father, James Crumbly, on November 26, 2021, in the presence of his son. Based upon the foregoing, the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office requested and received, authorized, we charged 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter as to James Crumbly and 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter as to Jennifer Crumbly. I want to be really clear that these charges are intended to hold the individuals who contributed to this tragedy accountable and also send a message that gun owners have a responsibility. When they fail to uphold that responsibility, there are serious and criminal consequences.
So you heard in the press conference that the prosecutor talked about how she was charging the parents and with involuntary manslaughter. Now, all I want to do is I really just want to focus on that aspect of the events that occurred. You know, they bought this. Technically, they bought this kid a gun. This was a Christmas present for this teenage kid. Now, the reports that I had heard is the shooter had not displayed any significant signs of mental illness or any reason to think that there was any cause for concern. Now, they bought the gun. They had the gun in their possession, in their home, in their bedroom, in an unsecured location. Supposedly, there was some drawings that made the teachers concerned. They called the parents in to have a conference. They spoke to the parents. They spoke to the child. The child didn't display any signs that they felt were alarming, even though there was this drawing that this teacher had supposedly produced. And they didn't take the child home. They left the teenage kid in high school. The kid was returned back to class. Unbeknownst to everyone involved, the gun was with the child in the classroom or in his backpack. And so after that meeting, he went back to the classroom. He was able to retrieve the firearm, and that's when the shooting started. Now, the parents went home, you know, obviously leaving their kid at school, because just because you've got a teacher who's, you know, taking pictures of stuff that may or may not be real, may or may not be misperceived, don't know what occurred in that conversation. This is all assumptions at this point. But the parents got home, discovered that the firearm was missing, and they contacted their child. They contacted the police. So they notified the authorities. They tried to intervene, but by then the shooting had already started. The reports were already getting out, and the events were already unfolding. So the way I view this is you don't charge parents for the actions of a teenager in a shooting any more than you would charge parents for causing a accident that if they, stole a car, if a teenager stole a car and went and crashed that car and killed, a group of people, or if they, went and robbed a bank with a knife, or whatever the case may be, you don't charge the parents. So I find it a little ironic that this prosecutor has made the determination that the parents are responsible simply because they purchased a firearm for their child. Now, I don't know a lot of the details yet. I think a lot of them are still coming out, but it's my understanding that there was no history of mental illness. There were no signs of violence from this young man. And so, well, I call him a young man. There was no signs of violence from this piece of crap that went on this shooting spree in the high school. However, I don't understand how you make the conclusion that the parents are responsible for this person committing this act anymore then you would be responsible if your teenage child went out, stole your car, and crashed it and killed a bunch of people. I think this is an overcharge. I don't agree with this charging as it stands today. I think this is another example of a prosecutor that's trying to send a statement to the community by overcharging someone simply because it's a gun involved. Now, I understand high emotions in that area, high emotions that are involved in this tragedy. I understand all of that, but prosecutors are supposed to be a little bit detached from that. That's why we have a legal system and a justice system, not a get-even system. So anyway, that's my thoughts on this one, guys. Let me know what you think. Throw it in the comments section below. Do I have it way off on this? And I would like to hear from you guys. So throw them in the comments section. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. And with that, I'll end it. Stay safe, stay vigilant, stay active, stay in the fight. And I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.